I just had a very not fun morning, super stressful. I was working the whole morning with my heart pounding under stress. I want to share that with you, why it happened and how I dealt with it. So basically what happened is I promised my client that I'll deliver something by today, and I had to finish it by noon because at noon I'm leaving for a meeting. From there I'm going to pick my son from the kindergarten, and tonight I'm actually flying with my wife to Warsaw. We're kind of having a weekend trip for our anniversary, and next week is, it's going to delay everything, and I had to finish that today. Basically what that means is I only had 3 hours to do that. Basically the task was to take 3 web pages that I've designed and develop them in Webflow, and it was pretty tight because there was something a bit complicated there, and while I start working on it, the first page took me like almost 2 hours. So I was always thinking like, oh my god, I'm never going to accomplish 3 of them. It's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. And while I was doing this, Ayal working on Prospero was asking me to QA and check some things, and I knew that I have to do that. And context switch, like leaving the project that you're working on right now, going into something else, is something that I really try to avoid because it's really painful. First of all, it takes you out of context. You work more slowly, and even mentally when you're super concentrated on something and then you have to do something else and then go back to it, it's just kind of ruins your flow. But I had to do this because I knew he was waiting for me, and so I was jumping between the project, my heart bouncing, like my brain is like so confused from everything that I have to do. And it was really actually painful and not fun, and I was just like, I want this to be over with, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull it off. Eventually I kind of worked through it, and really at the end of the time that I allocated for this, which is right now, I finished everything. And it wasn't fun. I went to the couch, like I finished kind of dizzy, tried to meditate for a little bit and grab a quick lunch because I was really kind of exhausted from those 3 hours. Now here's what I'm thinking about this. Working under stress and being in stress in general is really not fun. But when you're trying to be, let's call this top performer or high achiever, or do a lot of things, and that requires you to put yourself in places that are usually stressful. And I remember I read a post recently, I think it was by Ramit Sethi, who was kind of talking about top athletes and how, their skills basically are the same once they're very good. But those who are able to perform under stress, when they're out in competition, when other people are looking at them, when they're being actually timed, those are the ones who really become the top because they are able to still perform very well even under stress. And I think, and I know it for myself, that a lot of times the only reason for me, the only way for me to really succeed in my goals, that can be, my business goals, my monetary goals, but it can also be goals like I want to pick my son from the kindergarten today, and that puts me in stress mode. So if I want to succeed in all the things that I want to, to do, I must put myself in that place, even though that place is really uncomfortable, even though I don't really enjoy being in that stressful moment when it happens. I know that's the only way to reach, my goals and the place where I want to be. And my point is that I think a lot of people are just, because they don't like this feeling of being under stress and putting themselves out there. And by the way, this can be, right now it's a time stress because I'm working super fast, but it can also be stress like talking with your clients about money. That's also stress. And if you hate the pain of the stress so much, you're not gonna put yourself in that position to try those things and to push yourself into the next level. And just the other day somebody was writing me because they read one of my emails, and they told me, wow, it's crazy, I struggle to make $30,000 a year, and I didn't believe that some people do $30,000 a month, and it's really inspiring, and so forth and so forth. And I don't want to lie to anybody or just think that, oh, if you're just lucky or if you're very talented, you can make a lot of money every month and that will be cool. No, to do that, it usually takes putting yourself in a very stressful or uncomfortable place to do that. both in, you know, achieving the work or asking for the money or getting the client or actually delivering the value, usually puts you in a very stressful and uncomfortable position. So if you want to get to that place, you know, I don't have illusions that even if, you know, if Prospero succeeds and makes millions of dollars, that doesn't mean that I'll be like chilling every day at the beach and my life would be stress-free. Probably they will still be stressful, but I still want to go there, you know. And stressful doesn't mean that, you know, I'm not going to spend time with my family. But when I'm working, and even sometimes when I'm with my family, I'm under stress because of a lot of reasons, because I'm still thinking about this. But if you want, you know, to be in a successful place, you're probably going to have to go through this. You know, I think a lot of people look at successful people. It doesn't matter if your idea for a successful person is a designer or a musician or an athlete or whatever, and they think, oh, they make so much money, their life must be so awesome. Maybe their life are awesome, but don't, you know, mistake the fact that they are going through huge stresses and they maintain, you know, performance under those stresses. By the way, some of them do not. Are not able to maintain the stress and they fall into drugs or whatever, or they just quit because the stress is like a real thing. So again, for me, what works is, you know, trying to meditate and trying to, after I've been under a lot of stress, chill for a little bit. So it's a good thing that we're going on a small vacation today. That's how I deal with it, but the main point is I'm not trying to run away from it. I just know that it's part of life. Anyway, heading out to the meeting right now. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll catch you next week.